Hi, I'm Lazze and I'm teaching people in metal shaping. And we are back here with the tips and tricks for the bead roller. And today I'm going to show you something that happened many times, and over the years, even in my hands-on classes, the student really like the class, but they also really like to see when they do a mistake or something different, how we can fix that. So today I'm going to show you on a rear quarter panel what we're going to do. And when you cut out the piece like this, that you're going to run this edge to the guide in the bead roller, it's very important that this edge is smooth, so it has a nice curve to it. If this is little up and down, it doesn't need to be much, but when you run the bead and you run that to the guide, it's going to transfer everything over to the bead that was wrong on the edge. It's easier for me to grind an outer curve than it is to do an inner curve. Today I'm going to show you what can happen on a piece on an outer curve. So here I have a test piece that I have cut out, and this edge is cut pretty smooth. I didn't grind this. I could look at it and I could see that it was pretty smooth. But when I run this in the bead roller, I'm going to show you that I can what can happen, and that I can actually screw it up even if this edge is smooth. So let's go to the bead roller and run it. So every time you run an edge like this and you're using the guide, it's very important that the touching point from this edge should be just before the center of the shaft. So just down here, that's where the touching point should be. If I'm forcing it too much to the guide like this, so a touching point is out here, then you can see that we have started getting a big gap here. And that means that I'm going to screw up this bead if I run it that way. So it's always going to be down there. That's where the touching point is. When I'm feeding it here like that, the dies try to go in on the panel, and that's what we want. Always stand on the side that goes into the machine so you can see what's going on the side that goes into the machine. Immediately when you take your eyes off from that point and you would like to see the side that comes out, if the bead looks right, then you're losing control on the side here. And that's what I'm going to show you on this video here. So I put the panel in there, and I crank this down, and it's touching, and then I can go one more turn on my bead roller. It can be different from different bead rollers. So that was the wrong pedal. So now you see that I'm paying attention here now on the side that goes in, so it's touching there. And I have a little gap there, and that's what I want. And then for some reason I look at the side that goes out. Oh! So okay, so here I screw this up. So now we're going to see what we're going to do with that. So here we can see on this piece that what we want is to have the same distance from the edge into the bead. So it's about 3/8 or 7/16. And we want that to be the same all the way. But down here you see that something happened, and I went away from the guide because I looked on the side that came out from the machine if that was right, and immediately when I do that I'm losing control over the panel and holding it right to the guide. So here you can see the bead start going straight, and if I had continue, you can see that the bead will go over this edge, and that's not what we want. So now I'm going to show you the trick how to fix that. So I'm over here to my best friend, the English wheel, and the trick is to use the English wheel to fix this mistake. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the flattest wheel on the bottom of the English wheel. The top wheel is always flat. And I'm going to actually flat this out with a low pressure in the English wheel and actually make the panel flat here again. So I'm going to run this with a low pressure now, because I don't want to stretch this edge or where the bead is, because this is already an outer curve, which means that it's longer. So I actually don't need to wheel it there, but here I can feel the resistance here. That means that I'm flattening this out again, and it works really good to do this with a low pressure. So now you can see that this piece here is flat again. It's not as flat as it is on a brand new sheet, but that's okay. So the next step here now is to go back to the bead roller again and run this bead and pay attention to the guide and holding it right in the bead roller, and it will come out right. So now I'm back to the bead roller, and you can see here now where we had the damaged bead, and I tight this down so it's touching the sheet, and then I go another turn. I think I actually had it there before. So now I can run this, and I'm going to pay attention here, and I'm going to do this right. And with my bead roller I have variable speed, so I can set the speed on the speed control. So always set the speed so it's comfortable for you. Some people can go a little faster, some people want to take a little slower. I don't want to go too slow either. And it's also important here that I keep this panel here in level, so I don't lifting it up. It's a common thing that many students can do that the first time in the class that they're using the bead roller, that they're lifting this end up a little, but this should be in level so we don't get marks from this edge. So now I can turn this down about 3/4 of a turn more, and then I can go again. The more comfortable with the bead roller you get is the faster you can go. But sometimes you go too fast, and then you learn, okay, let's slow down a little bit. So every day is a school day. And that's what I like with the metal shaping after so many years, is that I'm still learning something new. I think I can actually go all the way down now. So this will be my last run. And if I want to stop and go again, if I want to move my feet or so, it's best to stop instead of moving the feet and like kind of jumping. It's happened many times in the classes that the student do a little jump, and then it's easy to get a little kink on the bead. But I like the bead roller because I can do so much with it and it's quiet. So here you can see a thing happen here. I did my best to keep it in level, but because it's an outer curve and the outer curve is so much, it can happen anyway. So you can see that the little line there, and it is a little bend that actually disturbing me a little. So I would like to show you a trick in the trick, how to fix that little thing there before we finish this up. To take care of that little small bend from the bead roller dies, I'm going over to the English wheel, and I'm going to use the flattest wheel on the bottom, but I'm going to put the little shim that is 16 gauge, and I put that shim in under one side here. Which means that instead of having the touching point in the center of the die, I have the touching point all the way out to this side here. That means that I can run the bead next to the English wheel, and I can run it one time over that, and I can make that smooth and flat again. So when I run this in the English wheel, I prefer to have the bead on this side, It doesn't matter if I this side or this side, but I want the bead to come up here, so the peak that was little line here on the sheet, I can just flat that down. So I'm going to roll this with a low pressure. And I think it was more down here in the end. So, and if you pay attention to something like that, then if you have a little more bend, as I have in the end, I can feel a little resistant. So now you can see that this part here is 100% flat again. And it really helps to do that with the English wheel instead of a hammer and a dolly. The English wheel and roll it one time over, it will be smooth, same pressure. If I do that with a hammer and dolly, I can do that, but I will get some small dings and small marks from the hammer and the dolly, and then I need to grind that. And if I'm grinding that part to get that smooth, then it's so easy to grind little on the bead, and here we go. And then we need to take care of that. So the English wheel really, with the shim there, really save you hours of work if you do it already now and we are done. So that was the tips and tricks for today with the bead roller. How to make a mistake and see how we can fix it. And I went over twice to my best friend, the English wheel, and I took care of it there. And I don't have any damage or anything happen with the English wheel compared to using a hammer and a dolly. So that was the tips and tricks for today. And if you want more information about my hands-on classes or my other products, you can go to www.lazzemetalshaping.com. Thank you for watching.